All right, ladies and gentlemen, we got another good show for you guys today. I interviewed Congressman Brandon Gill. You do not want to miss that. And we also have the dummy of the day. Wait till you hear how silly people can be. I have to talk about the black community. I've been saying this for a while. There's an incident that happened just recently where somebody got shot over onion rings, and we have to talk about it. Houston PD, I don't know what y'all doing out there in H-Town, but y'all are hiring nut jobs. And we have to talk about that one as well. But before we get to any of that, Kesh Patel and Todd Blanche blows the doors off of the Southern Poverty Law Center, literally funding the KKK. Welcome to the Officer Tatum Show.
I want everybody in this room to have that same spirit, that same identity carried in your life.
Make sure that you go through life and find your purpose.
And we don't do this just to get a pat on the back. We do it because we came here to win.
And it starts with you understanding that God has a purpose for you.
This is the time to be more bold than ever before.
We're all Americans at the end of the day, and we should love one another. We should be focused on what's right for our country. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Officer Tatum Show. Hey, I want to tell you guys about this shirt. Our artists who are on our team made an incredible Artemis 2 shirt. This is the best one you're going to get in the entire nation. I wish that everybody in the world had an opportunity to see it so they can get it. But you have an opportunity right now. This is not a part of the 75% off. So you can buy this and you can get something else 75% off. This is not 75% off. This is one of our new designs. So get one today. It also has a back image on there. Best shirt you're going to get, period, when it comes to this topic. Also, I want to thank all the members for joining the membership program. I appreciate you. I want to thank everybody who has supported Nick Shirley and others through the Black Line Guardian Fund by supporting through your generous donations. Black Line Guardian Fund is a 501c3, so when you donate, you have tax-exempt donations, and we'll send you a form if you give over the threshold or whatever the legal threshold is for you to get a form that you can file on your taxes. So anyway, let's get to the number one story on the chart, and that is the Southern Poverty Law Center. I want to talk about the Southern Poverty Law Center real quick. Just give a quick synopsis, something you can look up on your own, but if you're not familiar with it, I'm going to read it right off here. It says this is a non-profit civil rights organization founded in 1971 and based in Montgomery. It was originally created to fight racial discrimination and protect civil rights, particularly in America's South. They focus on civil rights litigation, tracking extremist groups, educational programs. So one of them woke organizations, right? Probably that should have never existed, kind of like the NAACP. Well, I'm going to say never existed. Maybe there was a point in time in history in the 70s that maybe there should have been legitimate advocacy against extremist groups and racial discrimination. Same thing with the NAACP, founded by white people and Jews and blacks. So everybody they have no idea how NAACP was founded. It wasn't founded by black folks. It was actually founded by white people and Jews. But anyway, outside of that, the NAACP had its point in time that made sense for it to be legitimized and for it to be activated. But God dog it, it's 2026, and y'all still crying about spilled milk. I don't understand it. Now, with all of that being said, look at what they were found doing. And I'm not shocked, are you? These people literally fund their own opposition to continue to get funded, to keep funding the opposition to continue funding. This is what they do. You don't want to cure cancer because you need to make money off cancer. You don't want, energy to be solved for. You don't want COVID to not be, you don't want vaccinations. They don't want it because they need to keep pimping you to make money off of you. So it's not shocked that these advocate groups are advocating or causing chaos so they can keep raising money about chaos. Roll the clip.
I just want to make sure I understand. You're alleging that the Southern Poverty Law Center was paying the leaders of KKK and other groups to continue their operations? Is that?
I'm not alleging it. The grand jury returned an indictment that says that. And so what the investigation found, according to the indictment that was returned today, is that they were paying. So the Southern Poverty Law Center is raising money, asking folks to give them money to dismantle racism. And over a very long period of time, they were using some of the money they raised from donors to pay to, they call them field, basically to informants, for information, for access, to just pay them for certain, to do certain things. And so, yes, that's exactly what the indictment charges.
Perfect. We have Kesh Patel giving 2 statements about it. Roll it.
What we're here today is to announce what the general just told you. The Southern Poverty Law Center, in a massive, sweeping indictment, has been charged with allegations of fraud and using the banking system to perpetrate that fraud. I just want to talk about a couple of brief things here. The Southern Poverty Law Center themselves advertise to raise money to dismantle violent extremist groups for a period of at least a decade. They use their donor network to raise money to purportedly dismantle violent extremist groups. However, the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, used the money they raised from their donor network to actually pay the leadership of these very groups. I just want to say that again. They used the fraudulently raised money by lying to their donor network, thousands of Americans, to go ahead and actually pay the leadership of these supposed violent extremist groups. The groups, as the general laid out, include the Ku Klux Klan, the United Klans of America, Unite to Right, National Alliance, the National Socialist Movement, the Aryan Nation Motorcycle Club, and the National Socialist Party of America, and also the American Front. In at least one of these matters, our investigation revealed that funds were used to facilitate the commission of further state and federal offenses, totaling over $3 million. Furthermore, our investigation revealed that the Southern Poverty Law Center, on top of perpetuating this widespread, decade-long, multi-million-dollar fraud, conducted more criminal activity. They attempted to hide their criminal activity from our financial banking network. They set up shell companies and entities around America so that the financial institutions that we rely on as everyday Americans were deceived in believing that money was not coming from the Southern Poverty Law Center in the perpetration of this scheme and fraud, but rather fictitious entities they stood up to perpetuate this ongoing fraud. This is a serious and egregious violation of a group that purported to dismantle violent extremist groups, but in turn actually only fueled the hatred. This is an important case brought by President Trump's administration. We're thankful to the president for his leadership and funding of not just the FBI and DOJ, but his commitment to go out there and wipe out fraud and conspiracy and waste and abuse wherever it occurs, including the Southern Poverty Law Center. Even though this money was made to appear to be coming from legitimate people and legitimate entities, we at the FBI, with our great partners at the Department of Justice and in the state of Alabama, were able to comb through a decade worth of material, a scheme that took a decade to build, so that we were able to follow the money, because money never lies, and they got caught.
All right, so we have Todd Blanche on Fox News giving a little more of an explanation, and I love how the Ingram angle, or Laura Ingram on the Ingram angle, how she kind of gives a pushback on it, because when I listen to what he had to say, I could see them as sure as the noonday sun coming out and making an excuse and saying, look, we're just funding informants. Now, obviously, in the way in which they did it, it's suspicious, and I'm not shocked that they're paying people at the top of these organizations to continue to move the ridiculousness forward through shell companies so that they can continue to perpetuate hate and they can continue to act like they're fighting against hate that don't exist anymore without their funding of it. Roll the clip.
Mr. Acting Attorney General, how did they get away with this for so long?
I mean, it's a great question. I said today during the press conference that we know that this investigation was opened during the Biden administration and then mysteriously closed. I really don't have any information about why it was closed. And then we started again last year, the FBI did, working with the U.S. Attorney in Alabama. And it's extraordinarily egregious. You just talked about it. But imagine a donor to the SPLC if they were told, by the way, we're going to give the money you're giving us to the Ku Klux Klan. Okay? Like, in some cases, over $1 million. I mean, it's incredible.
Now, they say they're no longer using these informants in this way and that it was necessary because they had all sorts of threats against the organization, firebombing threats and other acts of purported violence. And that's why they had to use these informants. And to that, you say?
Well, to that I say, for one, the indictment charges all the way through 2023. So I'm here to speak about what they're doing right now, but that indictment charges a long period of time through 2023. And second, and more importantly, there's no allegation or information in the indictment that suggests they shared that information with law enforcement. They have communicated.
They said they did.
Well, they have communicated when they so chose with law enforcement over the years. There's no information that we have that suggests that the money that they were paying to these informants and these members of these organizations, they then turned around and shared what they learned with law enforcement. To the contrary, or else we would have known from their own words that they had given this money to these guys, and we didn't know it.
So pretty much what he's saying, and I want you guys to go back to that little graphic where it shows how much money they were giving to each one. It was in that interview, the interview they did on Fox News. But, you know, the very interesting thing here is what he's saying is that they claim that they were utilizing informants to gather intel and information, but they weren't sharing any of this intel and information with law enforcement. So in what I'm assuming that the indictment entails, because I didn't get a chance to read the indictment, is that they were claiming we're just getting intel. We're only funding it because we have informants, when in fact, because they haven't communicated properly, they could actually be encouraging the behavior and funding the behavior because they have no opposing side where they're saying we funded it and here is what we did with the information that we found. Here is where we're at with the investigation that we decided to do on our own. They have none of that track record. At least that's what our government is saying. I want to pop that on the screen one more time because I want y'all to see. $1 million to National Alliance affiliate, $300,000 plus to the Aryan National affiliate, $270 to Unite the Right, $140,000. This is a significant amount of money. $70,000 to the KKK, $19,000 to America Front Press and Felon. They're giving substantial amounts of money. It should be justifiable how you give $1 million to the National Alliance affiliate, or $300,000 to the Aryan Nations affiliate. The SEC just told the crypto world that certain platforms, what they call DeFi front ends, don't have to follow the same rules as traditional brokers. Now think about that. If you're using a platform like Fidelity or Schwab, they have to verify who you are, protect your money, and be honest about what you're investing in. There are rules, there's accountability, but now some crypto platforms don't necessarily have to do that. And this is happening at the worst time possible. Kraken, one of the biggest exchanges in the country, just got hit with a security breach. Before that, Solana's Drift lost $280 million to North Korea hackers, and it's only getting worse. Bad actors are using AI to find weaknesses faster than companies can fix them. And even if you don't own crypto, this affects you because it's about consumer protection. The SEC is basically saying an entire category of financial platforms don't have to play by the same rules. No real safeguards, limited accountability, and when you create gaps like that, that's exactly where fraud grows. And if we're serious about building a strong financial future, we cannot cut corners when it comes to protecting people. And if we want America to be the crypto capital of the world, we have to protect Americans first. So right now, the SEC is rolling back protections instead of strengthening them. And that means Congress needs to step in and codify real investor protections into law to protect freedom. Because at the end of the day, common sense should still matter. I want to tell you guys about Synergy. If you're looking for a complete energy, natural energy that you could take, doesn't give you a crash. Literally, y'all see me drinking it every single day on the show. It doesn't give you a crash. Like I had to shake it up a little bit. It doesn't give you a crash. Natural ingredients, none of that fluff. 75 milligrams of caffeine, so it's not over-caffeinated. And then also we give you the Synergy Night for you to get good quality sleep with ashwagandha and magnesium and just 1 milligram of melatonin, which is 5 to 10 times less than all of your melatonin-based sleep aids. So if you're interested, go to synergylife.com, synergylife.com. Let's get to the Shake Shack foolery. Now, I've been trying to talk about this every day of the week. Why do you want to talk about it? Because you hate your mama? And you hate black people? That's the excuse that people give when you try to hold black people accountable. Me being a black man, I hate to see the black community get unnecessarily painted with a broad brush in a negative light. And then I also want young black people who have a lot of potential and a lot of value to add to the country to start changing what they're doing. And if we don't start calling this crap out, we're going to continue to see a fall of an entire race of people. There's a lot of good quality black people in this world, but we get painted in the light with these nut jobs. And nobody wants to talk about it. And then if a white person dare talk about it, they're racist and y'all get mad. So I'm going to talk about it. What's going on in the black community in America, in many of these communities, is terrible. It's wrong. It's shameful. It's ridiculous. It's unprecedented. And it needs to change. Start raising your children and quit trying to be cool, sagging your pants, listen to all this crap. Quit trying to act like being articulated is a white person thing. Get your stuff together. I grew up in a black neighborhood. And the difference between growing up in a black neighborhood and growing up in a white neighborhood, even at the same financial level, is different. We need to change. I don't understand how all these black people got so much money and success and all this stuff, and you don't own your own bank? You don't own your own grocery stores? We used to. And now we falling off. Anyway, let's talk about the Shake Shack foolery. We just had a man kill his whole family the other day. Kid gets shot in the face at a 15-year-old shot in the face in an argument, probably over nothing. And now we got Shake Shack murder. Roll the clip. I mean, not Shake Shack, but Steak and Shake, not Shake Shack. Let me fix that. Shake Shack gonna call me and send me a cease and desist. Steak and Shake. Shake Shack is better. But Steak and Shake. All right, roll the clip.
Suspect is now charged with the killing of a Steak and Shake worker at a North County restaurant. 20-year-old Jada Bell is charged with first-degree murder, armed criminal action, and unlawful use of a weapon. She is being held on a $1 million cash-only bond tonight. Police say 32-year-old Chauncey Meekins was killed in the shooting earlier this month. Prosecutors say there was a confrontation in the drive-thru. The victim's family says this was all over onion rings. Police say there are no other suspects in custody at this time.
So let's put this in perspective. It's not over onion rings. It's over disrespect and a lack of maturity in adults. There's no reason a young lady of her age should be going to a drive-thru and getting so upset with somebody that you decide to ruin your whole life over it. I understand people tick you off. Lady at American Airlines made me mad. I want to cuss and slam the desk and scream at her and tell her to fire her sorry, ridiculous self. She was a fool. She shouldn't even be working for American Airlines. But I didn't do that. I took a deep breath. I walked away for a second. I came back with disgust and disappointment on my face. But I did not think that it makes sense for me to punch her in the head or shoot her or something because I'm mad at the way she's acting and to spend the rest of my life in prison. The problem is these young people are growing up without real parental control. They don't have a parent at home. These people don't care about their kids. They grew up with anger and trauma that they never address and nobody ever thinks to help them address it. And then now they kill each other for nothing. Here's another example. I'm going to go through 10 examples because y'all think I'm playing and y'all act like it's anecdotal. Roll the clip. So that's the 15-year-old getting hit. All right, time out. Everybody there is black. Now, of course, that boy don't look like that little boy. They picked a picture of him when he was 3. But all these boys black. And this is what they doing to their own people. This is what made me mad because we got activist groups that are activating their efforts for racism and discrimination. But you got young brothers killing each other in your city. Where's the activist group for brothers killing each other? All these young boys, ain't a white person in sight. Killed your own brother over nothing. I know it's nothing. They arguing over nothing. Killed a 15-year-old boy. Here go another clip. Roll it.
Be that, hoe, y'all. I can keep looking, hoe. Get that hoe now. Who, hoe? Don't touch me. That hoe tripping. That hoe tripping. Clean that hoe, Deanna. Walk round to them, hit nobody, hoe. Walk round to it. Come on, Deanna. Yeah, come on. Let's go, Deanna. Let them shoes out, Kiki.
I always have to give qualifiers. A lot of black people look at that same thing and don't like it. But that behavior like that is why the community is bad and why black people get judged. I'm telling you, man, I grew up in it, but I want nothing to do with being around too many black people. And I'm not saying in every circumstance. I like to be around a lot of good black people. But when you move in some of these communities where they acting like that, you don't want to be there. It's too dangerous. You don't want to raise a family like that. And it's so out of control because nobody's want to say anything. If you know, black folk, I know a lot of black folks that do well. And I like being around good black folks that's doing the right thing. But it's too many doing this, and it gives us all a bad look. Here go another one, Wendy's.
2 black girls have been charged with felonies after a fight broke out over demanding too much ketchup. The girls placed an order at the drive-thru window and asked the employee for more than a dozen ketchup packets. The employee told them there would be a small additional charge and processed the payment on their card, which reportedly totaled about $1. The girls immediately became upset and demanded their money back. The employee explained that the charge followed store policy and refused to issue a refund. The situation escalated quickly. The girls began kicking the drive-thru window, eventually shattering the glass. They also threw drinks, food, and packaging around the service area, leaving the store in disarray. During the incident, one girl lost her Crocs inside the store and demanded that the employee pick them up and return them, but the employee refused. Despite the destruction, the girls did not recover their money and fled the scene. Employees later gave meal vouchers to customers who had been waiting in line, including one person who was waiting for a lemonade. Police were called and are now working to identify the suspects. Authorities said the damage to the property could lead to felony vandalism and related charges once the girls are located and arrested. Do you think going to jail for Wendy's burgers is worth it?
Well, they do. These young people do. Here go another situation. Roll it. Let me know when y'all see a white person in there somewhere. Bro, look at all them wigs on the ground. That is a shame. That is a shame.
She's getting beat to work in the corner. Oh, shit. Let me back up. Oh, shit.
So, what are you saying? People doing this to their own people. Here go another one. Roll it. So when you see the anger, the rage, the hatred, They get that from somewhere. This is a product of families being dysfunctional. And you raise your kid to think that that makes sense to act like that. They see their mama acting like that. Then they have kids and they acting like that. Then it's a generational concoction of foolery. Here go another one.
They messed with the wrong person.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a good day. Mahogany, sir, where we at? No more orders.
And this is in a black neighborhood against their own people. And then people say, oh, this happens everywhere. They all, the black people are always cutting up everywhere. This is in London. Roll it. They done ran somebody over. I think we got one last one at a basketball game. Roll it. More chaos and drama. Why, Brandon, why are you even bringing this stuff up? Because somebody needs to talk about it. Somebody needs to say something about it. Every single person that looked like me try to avoid it because you don't want to get alienated and say, when black people saying that you lost your black card. Y'all, we got to stop doing this. We got to start raising our children better. All of that is parenting. Raise your kid to love and respect each other, respect the community, respect themselves enough to have proper decorum. It's not white people stuff to be decent. It's called just being a decent person. All right, let's get to this Houston cop, and then we're going to go to the dummy of the day. I can't believe Houston has a problem. Houston, we have a problem. I don't know what oral board, review board, background checks y'all doing for police officers. Y'all, listen, it's crazy to me, man, because some of these cities that want so much diversity and DEI on the police department, they have the weirdest, most ghetto, trashy police officers. When I was working for the Tucson Police Department, there was not one cop that was a ghetto bird and a fool like this girl I'm about to show you. Not one cop. I have never met a cop in the state of Arizona that was like this. We don't produce police officers like this. How is this girl, because they fired her or they put her on leave, how was this woman ever a police officer? Now, it appears that the chief confirmed they put her on leave, so I think this must be their police officer. Listen to this fool. She was a cop, uniform, everything. How does she even have a job? Roll the clip.
Local community leaders say this video calls into question Gonzalez's policing. Fox 26's Karis Belger joining us in the studio with more on these allegations and what we're learning tonight. Karis.
Yeah, Caroline, the video is disturbing and we're not showing it in full, but I can tell you the woman in it repeatedly uses racist language and describes using that language during an arrest and later says she felt, quote, at peace after being able to say it. And that's now drawing serious concern from community leaders as HPD looks into this. Okay, now and sent to Fox 26 by a viewer who claims the woman seen in it is Officer Ashley Gonzalez. Now, Houston's police say they are aware of the video. While the department has not publicly confirmed Gonzalez is the woman seen in it, HPD says she has been relieved of duty as the investigation moves forward.
Time out. Let's just put this in perspective. You know right away if this is your officer or not, right? It makes me suspicious because two things can be possible. This young lady, because the video went viral, may be in danger of people retaliating against her. So they can probably put her on leave while they do an investigation. But I believe that immediately you should know who your officers are. If I was on the police department, they go, Brandon, you made that video? Was that you? First of all, it got to look like me. And I'm like, that wasn't me. Here's my social media. It didn't come from my social media page. It is not me. That tattoo is not mine. It's not me. And if it is you, everybody knows it's you. Probably why they put on leave. Listen to what she said. Roll it.
Now, after watching the video, Bishop James Dixon said he was shocked and disturbed by the content. You can see Gonzalez here. This is her graduating from her cadet class in 2024, shaking the hand of the then police chief. James Dixon said he was, as I mentioned, shocked and disturbed by the content. He believes this raises broader concerns beyond just the one incident.
Unfortunately, she misrepresents good cops, right, who love and protect and want to serve everyone. But the most unfortunate thing is she represents a genre of police officers who think like that.
At this point, it's still unclear whether Gonzalez could face additional discipline or whether investigators are looking into any of her past interactions on the job.
Please look into it. Houston, look into this woman. Every arrest she's made, if this is her, it appears that it's her. Every arrest she's made, every case report she's written, every complaint that has ever been levied against her, put on the internet for the world to see. Does anybody have a complaint against this officer that you never revealed? Email us because we need to know. Because there's no way in the world this is a good officer that's impartial talking like this. Roll it.
Let me get a black person on a 911 call tomorrow, especially you're going to jail. The amount of times that I will always and forever say that I hate. Oh my God, I hate chimps. Like I hate y'all. Like you, like I don't. Oh, we were slaves this entire. I don't give a like for a reason. You guys were slaves. You guys don't know anything better than to steal. Like oh my God, like I was literally eating food with my friend. He had his, oh my God, like I don't know, por Dios, por gracias de fucking Dios, I had my wallet next to me, like my whole purse, and those like that little small chimp decided not to steal my wallet next. Oh my God, I would have grabbed my heel and like whooped the out of that nigga's ass. But like whatever, right?
No, but all them boy, the people you describing, you sound just as bad and crazy as they are. How you gonna be looking at, I hate blacks that do this and do that, and you a ghetto Mexican? All right, roll the clip.
Y'all don't know how good it felt to say like out loud, like oh my God, I felt like I was back in the Marine Corps. Like I kid you not, I don't know what the came over me. I grabbed that by the neck and I was like, come here, you. And oh my God, like I felt like the world just stopped. Like it was just peace. Like I don't know.
All right, I heard enough of this woman. I don't know what's crazier. The fact that she's saying this or the fact that she uploaded this to the internet. I don't know. What make you do something this stupid? With a whole chest. Saying all this crazy stuff. And she was a cop. Let me explain this real quick, and I know cops will be mad at me for saying this, but you got to get over yourself. Unfortunately, with the advent of DEI hires, that means that they have to get a quota of black people, women, other minority groups. They have to do all this stuff. So what do? They compromise their qualifications, and they get hood rats that claim to be law enforcement officers because they have to. We need black people. We need Hispanics. Well, a lot of the black people that are successful, they move out of the neighborhood or they go, they do their own thing and they're not trying to be cops. So they got to get the ghetto ones. Hispanics, they doing all kind of other stuff. They don't want to be a cop. I'm not saying generically speaking all of them, but I'm saying they don't have enough qualified ones. That's how they got hurt. All right, I think we got a dummy of the day, but hold on, let's not get to that first. And then I got the interview with Brandon Gill, Congressman Brandon Gill. I want you guys to watch it. It was an incredible interview. I will play it after I speak about the dummy of the day. Now, we're going to start doing the dummy of the day every day. We're going to find a crazy story. Feel free to submit your story. If you have a story, email us. I'll give you an email that you can send it to. If you have a dummy of the day story, email it to us, and we will, or you can text it to our number. Oh, text the link to our phone number at 480, boy, I'm dyslexic like I'm 480-788-1858, 480-788-1858. If you're on your phone, you see it on social, go ahead and text it to us, and we can nominate it for Dummy of the Day, and we'll give you a shout-out if we pick your video. Now, look at this turd. Now, I thought that the officer could have been Dummy of the Day, but this woman is Dummy of the Day. Go back. Put me in full screen. Roll the Dummy of the Day. Huh? All right. I had to have him roll it, man. You forgot to roll it. Roll the clip.
Dead. I don't care who knows it. I haven't cared up until this point. But sometimes you gotta be a little coy. You gotta be a little like, woohoo, I don't give a fuck. I want him dead. I want him DEAD, head on a stake.
Talking about the president.
I want him dragged through the streets. Okay? I want his dragged. I want him gutted. I want his entrails in the road. A whole civilization will. I want the dead. I do. Oh, Jules, you shouldn't say that. I don't give a fuck. I want him dead.
I want him dead, and I want my cousin too. She won't be her cousin. I want him dead, and she want her cousin. That's what she's like, a hillbilly nut job. Caroline Levitt posted this to show how unhinged the left is. I don't think this is Caroline Levitt. Is it? It's a fan page, Caroline Levitt fan page. Somebody wrote on there what that girl did that was like completely out of control. And should the FBI make her famous and arrest her, or should she be made famous and be arrested by the FBI? Look, man, if you are making claims about that could be concerning, right? If you said, I want this to happen to this person, that's not a crime, right? If you say, I'm going to do this to this person, that is a crime. But if you say, I want this to be done to this person so bad, and we're talking about the president of the United States of America, that's concerning. That's concerning enough for them to come talk to you. So if you think you're going to say that about a president, they finna come talk to you. They're going to come to your house or your trailer park, your trailer home, and they're going to get you out of bed with your cousin and have a conversation with you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, interview with Congressman Brandon Gill. Me and him happen to have the same first name. That's why I knew he was great. All right, I want y'all to watch it, enjoy it, and we'll get to post-show clarity after the interview. God bless you. Check this out. All right, ladies and gentlemen, the interview that you all have been waiting for. I told you guys I'm going to interview this guy, and he's absolutely amazing. Rock star, just whooping the socks off of people in Congress almost every time I see a video of him. And it's interesting that we share the same first name, which is why I think he's so cool. But you guys helped me introduce Congressman Brandon Gill. He's a congressman in Texas, 26th District, Congressional District. Congressman Gill, dude, you've been just killing it. Every time I see you talk, you stand up for the American people. You obviously standing up for Texas. I'm born and raised in Texas. But I want to talk to you about this immigration nonsense. Me and the wife was talking about this the other day. We just do not understand who is stupid enough to allow anchor babies, to allow all this crazy immigration in our country unfettered. But I want to talk about the TPS immigration. What's your thoughts on that, the TPS immigration as it relates to the Haitian nationals?
Yeah, I mean, so we voted last week to extend temporary protective status for Haitians in the United States. And to give you a bit of background, this is a program that was originally begun in 2010. It happened, it was started after a major earthquake in Haiti to allow some of them temporary status to come into the United States as their country was rebuilding. And what it sort of metastasized into was a de facto amnesty. So you had a program that was temporary, that was re-upped and re-upped and reauthorized over and over again, to the point where right now there's about 350,000 Haitians who are covered under this program. 69% of them came into the United States during the Biden administration. And by the way, 91% of them came into the United States illegally. So in other words, what we're doing by extending temporary protective status now is basically codifying Joe Biden's open borders, giving backdoor amnesty to people who never should have come into our country in the first place, had no valid reason to come into the country. I mean, these are not asylum claims or anything like that. These are people who simply crossed our borders illegally, and yet that the House voted last week to extend it. I think it's a terrible decision. My hope is that this is something that the Senate doesn't even take up for a vote, and if they do, it's something that the Senate votes down. I never like to rely on the Senate to kill bad legislation, but that's kind of the position that we're in. But this is, I think, an egregious betrayal of what we ran on last cycle.
Yeah, Congressman Gill, I just, I always think about what people do, and it's not always what they do, it's why. What's the motive behind the stupidity? I just don't understand. You would think a logical individual or a logical group of people who are in Congress would think this through and say, does this benefit the American people? These people are, some of them are illegally coming into this country. They're using resources from taxpayer. Everybody's complaining about things being too expensive. What is their motive behind having all of this unfettered immigration and not, making these people go back where they came from?
Well, I mean, first of all, you're exactly right. The only question we should be asking here is, does large-scale illegal immigration from Haiti make America better off or worse off? And the answer is obviously worse off. I mean, we've got to remember that, especially as members of Congress, we represent American citizens. We don't represent anybody else. We don't represent illegal aliens in our district, and we don't represent foreigners in other countries. So the question is, does this increase the quality of life for the American people? Does it make America stronger in any sense? And the answer is no. So 65% of Haitian non-citizen headed households in the United States right now are on welfare. That makes us poor. It makes our country weaker. So the obvious response, and by the way, most of these people, whenever they come into the United States, don't speak English very well. So this makes our country weaker and poorer. And that ought to be the thing that we're focusing on. But what I hear from a lot of my colleagues who support things like this, whether it's Dignidad or Haitian TPS, is that we have labor needs in the United States. I've heard some of my colleagues say that if we don't have backdoor amnesty for Haitians, that our healthcare system is going to collapse. One of my colleagues on the other side of the aisle gave a bizarre statistic that 20% of healthcare workers in the United States are from Haiti. That is entirely made up, by the way, completely false. It's about 0.6% for the record. But that's the kind of stuff that you hear, and this comes from, ultimately, I think, especially when it's not from the left, a cheap labor lobby in Washington, who say that, go ahead.
No, I'm just wondering, are people trying to get obviously cheap labor, but also a new generation of people they can brainwash that they feel as if they give them a bunch of handouts, then somehow they'll be on their team and they're going to have a new variety of voters. Is that something that you see, or is that just speculation from the populace who don't know what we don't know what we're talking about when it comes to this? Because you're there, man. That's one thing that I always wonder. You are in Congress. Do you see that when you hear your colleagues talk about it? You I can see clear as the noonday sun. You guys trying to get in new voters to manipulate.
Oh, the short answer is yes. That is 100% why the Democrats support open borders and amnesty of any form. And they're pretty candid about that in many ways. I mean, you hear Democrats talking about demographics are destiny, that the changing demographic makeup in the United States is going to benefit them. In fact, that's been a core pillar of their political strategy for the past couple decades, is to import a new population of people. And by the way, that is obviously why they've been so adamantly opposed to the Save America Act. Whenever you have a large population of illegal aliens in the United States, that benefits Democrats in two ways. On the one hand, whenever you have unsecure elections, those illegal aliens are voting in our elections, especially in blue jurisdictions that are sanctuary cities, sanctuary states, don't have voter ID laws. Illegal aliens are voting there, and they're voting for Democrats typically. And that's the bet Democrats are making. But on the other hand, their presence in the United States, where they congregate in blue areas, gets counted in the census. Our census every 10 years counts the number of people, not the number of citizens in the state. And our congressional apportionment, meaning the number of congressmen that each state gets, is based on that number, the number of people in a state. So blue states that are sanctuary states get more representation in Washington, meaning you get more Democrat congressmen because of illegal immigration, just because of their presence in the United States. And various studies that have looked at this and have shown that Democrats probably net maybe 5 extra seats because of illegal immigration, and it could be quite a bit more. But they're open about that. I mean, I think that there's not really a question that they're weaponizing immigration for political benefit.
Congressman Gill, do you think that our side, the Republican side, is doing enough, or are we flooded with some people who are not, don't have the fortitude to stand up for what's right and to be as bold and courageous as you and others that I've seen, that every time, we have a congressional hearing, you take people to task that need it. I mean, do you feel like that we are lockstep and in a good position as Republicans, or do you think that we are struggling too, which gives a lot of enthusiasm to the left?
Well, I think that there's always more that we can be doing, and this is a good issue. Whenever you talk about immigration, you're always going to have people coming at you, calling you racist or slandering you in some way, and I think we need to be bold and straightforward and say there's obviously nothing. None of our immigration policies are obviously rooted in racial animosity in any way. It's about just protecting our people and recognizing that we ought to put our people's interests first, because they're the ones that we represent. And I want to see my children and my grandchildren inherit the same country that my grandparents got to enjoy in America, with the same opportunities and the same social and political stability. And that is undermined by mass migration. But to your original point, we've always got more. The left is clever, and they're very cunning, and they're ruthless politically. And we see that every day here. And we've got to be able to answer them with the same level, I think, of savviness.
Yeah, and do you think that Ilhan Omar will be held accountable? And I'm not saying that she's done anything criminal. I don't know for a fact, but it does appear to be some impropriety, right? With her potentially marrying somebody in her family, getting them over here in America, and then also with her net worth. Like, literally, she went from like $40 to having a $30 million net worth to now saying that it's back down to like several thousand, as if somebody is that stupid to make a mistake on your taxes. I know you pay taxes. I pay taxes. Everybody watching this pays some form of taxes. I pay a lot of money in taxes, but there's no way in the world that I'm going to accidentally think I'm worth $30 million and I'm worth $40,000. Right. That's not going to happen. So do you think she's going to be held accountable, or are we missing something? Like, is there really nothing here? Is the reason why she hasn't been held accountable, or is there something there and we need to do something about it?
Yeah, I think there's usually whenever with stuff like this, whenever there's smoke, there's fire. And this is somebody who, there are a lot of legitimate questions that we need to be diving into about her immigration status coming into the United States, and how honest and straightforward she was about that. But the net worth question, I think, is fascinating, because to your point, you had somebody who originally publicly disclosed that she had a net worth and possibly in the tens of millions of dollars, and then suddenly revises that due to an accounting error down to as low as about $100,000. I mean, there's no accounting error that can account for a discrepancy that large, of course. And again, this is all public. So this is something presumably that she looked into, oversaw. This is the kind of thing that we need to be, that I think that the ethics committee, who is tasked with overseeing things like this, ought to take a really deep dive into. Because this, if there's nothing there, then there's nothing there. But I think there are a lot of big questions here about her net worth. And again, remember, whenever we sign these financial disclosures that have our net worth in it, I actually have to sign that saying that I've looked over all of this information, that I'm verifying that this is accurate, and she did do that. So I think we ought to look into whether she intentionally misled the American people.
Yeah, that's very interesting. Like I'm not a big finance guy, but I'm not stupid either. And that, an account area that crazy, like somebody got to get fired over that. If because you got to think, if your net worth is that, or if you have a extreme amount of income, you're going to be paying extreme amount of taxes. So if my CPA or somebody made a mistake that large where I now owe a burden of some crazy amount of taxes, or now people are perceiving that I have some incredible net worth and it's not even a fraction of it, some people need to go to jail over that. I want to ask you a couple of personal questions because we only have 5 minutes left. And to end it on a more positive note, what is something that you do enjoy? Because I about Congress, because people ask me all the time, are you going to run for office? And I just don't want that job. I don't want that burden. I've been to Congress, and I can see how hard you guys work in America. People have no idea. Sometimes you guys are out there arguing up to 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, it's asinine at some of the.
Just last week we were doing that.
Exactly. And so I think the American people don't really know a lot about that. So, what's one thing that you really enjoy, being a part of Congress and something that you could be very proud of with your family and that you can pass on to your kids and say, hey, this is the reason why I did this and this is what I enjoy as far as doing my part in Congress?
Yeah, I would say, first of all, I genuinely love this country and want my kids and my grandkids to be able to enjoy the same America that I did, with this beautiful culture and unique heritage that is rooted in historical experience that creates so much economic opportunity and cultural stability. I'd like for our future generations to be able to inherit that. And I think that's a core part of being a conservative. The other side of that is that we have an obligation whenever we are given whenever we're blessed with so many opportunities to make sure that we can that those are preserved. So what I like about politics is we actually have the ability to impact that. And I enjoy the political process and I love the fight. And you look across the other side of the aisle and the things that they stand for will absolutely destroy this country to the point where our children and our grandchildren will not be able to inherit the same country. And frankly, in many ways, the country that I grew up in is fundamentally different than the one that my grandparents did. It's been changed because of the left in so many ways. To do this, you got to love the fight. Nothing gets done in Washington unless you're willing to fight for it, even the most simple things. So whenever we go into committee hearings and we're, going back and forth with some, rabid Democrat, that stuff makes a lot of difference. It takes a lot of preparation, but we have been able to move the needle, and I found that to be quite a rewarding experience. But it really does come down to a deep love of this country, and I think a conviction that it does need to be preserved. We are conservatives, and we seek to conserve the America of the founding, and we've got the opportunity to do that.
Well, man, I appreciate the hard work. I'm telling you, man, I appreciate you. Everybody else that I know appreciate you. Literally, my head of security guy here was like, I cannot wait to watch this interview. I love that guy. He's just always doing, you stand up for what's right. You call people out on the carpet on their bull crap, and you do it in a very articulable way, very reasonable way. You're not too condescending to people. You just hold them accountable for what it is. Last question. I think we've got about 30 seconds. I always ask people this because we only know you as a congressman. At least a lot of people only know you. We've been introduced to you as a congressman. If you were not a congressman and you had a choice of another career field at this point, what would that be?
I would be in business in some capacity. I'd be some kind of entrepreneur in Texas, and I did some of that before running for office. I was more in the media entrepreneurial space, but I'd be in business and be spending a lot more time with my family.
Yeah. Well, one day you'll have that opportunity when you retire from that place after doing your due diligence and service. But God bless you, Congressman Gill, man. I really appreciate you coming on, and look forward to having you back another time.
Thanks for having me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I told you. And if you haven't seen Congressman Gill, you got to go look at him on social media. I mean, he's an absolute rock star. Every time I see him, it's funny because you would think that these people who are being presented before Congress is educated enough to have basic explanations for the things that they believe, and they just have nothing there. It's nothing there. And Congressman Gill exposes them every single time. So shout out to him from the 26th district, congressional district in the great state of Texas, which is where I was born and raised. But anyway, I appreciate that. I know you guys love that interview. Make sure you share it, like the video, like and subscribe to the channel, and go and follow Congressman Gill on his social media. All right, y'all, we out of here.